Primeira vez que fui à loja foi de surpresa. Eu admito que não conhecia ainda, mas depois fiquei a conhecer, pá, fiquei fã. Espero que gostem. Os workshops que tentamos fazer sempre é para o pessoal que vem à loja. Como devem imaginar, dá trabalho, custa dinheiro. Agradecer ao meu staff por vir trabalhar ao domingo, que também, pronto, é de louvar. Espero que gostem e boa sorte, não vou atrapalhar mais. MJ, it's yours.
First of all, thank you everybody for being here. Everybody understands English? Everybody's like, all good? Perfect. I don't have a very loud voice, so if you can't hear me, just like raise your hand, like say, Mark, speak louder, please. I want to say thank you to Evo for opening a store and like organizing these events. I think these events are always cool because you get to meet people and everybody, and yeah, we should do more of them. I always like to start by kind of just introducing myself, kind of like telling my story, like how did a Dutch guy ended up in a Portuguese store doing a workshop. So my name is Mark. Most people call me Mark or MJ. My full name in Dutch is Mark Jan, but I'm not telling you guys to call me Mark Jan. Actually, nobody calls me that. 35 years old, from the Netherlands. Everybody's been to the Netherlands? Yeah? Oh, awesome, awesome. Nice, nice. Cool. Nelson, been to the Netherlands? Yeah, he worked there actually. So I basically started with the hobby from a very small age. My daddy was a fish keeper as well. So he taught me basically all the basics, you know, like from water changes, water parameters. And I mean, growing up as a kid, we always had a large fish tank in the house. So for me, there was no way to escape the hobby basically. Now my daddy was really into Central American cichlids. And everybody knows Central American cichlids. They're big fish. Now, because he was my dad, I kind of just wanted to do the same thing. You know, like he's your dad, you want to make him proud. So I started keeping cichlids as well. But like thinking back to that time, I kind of remember that I often got bored a little bit. Like I would set up the aquarium, make it look pretty, and then after that, I kind of started to lose interest, you know? Because with fish keeping, I mean, you can set up the tank and then you just have to like stand back and you can't really do much anymore. Like it's not very interactive. So fast forward, I want to say when I was like 20 years old, I moved out of my parents' house to a really small studio in Amsterdam. And I didn't have space for a large cichlid tank. So I bought a small nano cube, like 30, 40 centimeter nano cube. I was like, what am I going to do with this small tank? And that's when I discovered aquascaping, and I just went down the rabbit hole of Takashi Amano and everything else. And when I discovered aquascaping, like it kind of like clicked. Like, okay, I was getting bored of fish keeping because I could only look at it. But with aquascaping, it's not much more. Like you can do more, you know. Like you can spend more time scaping, you spend more time on maintenance and plants and everything. So I think since I started aquascaping, so like 10, 15 years ago, I never got bored of it basically. Now I absolutely love it. So that's basically how I got into aquascaping. Then the part of, you know, becoming a YouTuber. When I was, how do I say it? I used to work as a chef in restaurants. I was always cooking. It's another thing that I really love doing. I always had this idea of, because I love fish keeping so much, I always thought like it would be nice to earn a living from that as well. Like how can I make money with fish keeping? So I thought about, you know, working in a store, like, or opening my own store. But I remember doing an internship once in a fish store. I was like, not sure if this is for me. So I started cooking. I went to culinary school and did that for, I want to say about 10 years. And after 10 years, I kind of had enough. So I was starting to look like, what else can I do? And that was around the time we had the pandemic. So just before the pandemic hit, I became a freelance chef, basically. So I was just, like, all the restaurants would just hire me to cook for them. So then when COVID arrived, all the restaurants closed and no job for MJ. So I was just, I mean, like most people, I was just stuck at home. I had nothing else to do. So that's when I started making YouTube videos. I already had an Instagram page, which was doing quite well, and people were asking me questions like, "Hey Mark, I have a lot of algae," or "Mark, can you help me with my CO2 issues?" So I was constantly replying to people like, "Oh, you need to do this, this, and this." Spending a lot of time on that. So I thought, how can I make this process less time consuming? So then I thought, if I start making videos, I can just send the video to people, and then they can watch it, and I don't have to manually reply to everybody. So that was kind of the main reason why I started making videos. Just sip of water. And I never had this idea like I want to be a full-time content creator. I just thought like aquascaping can be quite expensive, right? So I thought if I can just make some videos, make some money from that, and just finance my hobby, I thought that'd be great. But yeah, fast forward, I've now been doing it 5 years, and now it has become a full-time thing, which I'm actually very grateful for. Like, never expected this, but this is, yeah, kind of like a dream come true, sort of.
How many years being full-time?
Well, so I started in 2020, and I told you, like, there was a point where I was making some money, but not like enough to, sustain me and my family. So I thought about working in the kitchen part-time and this part-time as well. But then I took one job in a restaurant, and it was absolutely horrible. So I was like, nah, I'm never going to do this again. So I just pushed even harder, making more videos, and that paid off. So that's kind of my story. I think we're going to get started. Now, for me, when I do workshops, I like to keep it interactive. I don't want to be the only person talking. So please feel free to ask questions.
É igual.
Right, so we're doing a shallow tank. I mean, for a shallow tank, not always, but it always is a good idea to have hardscape coming out of the water as well. Like, we want to just, use the, how you say it. It's good to use the shallow tank as, how do I say it? Like with a normal aquarium, it's very difficult to have hardscape going out of the water. It also makes maintenance a little bit more difficult. But a shallow tank, it just lends itself perfectly to just extend it and to just think out of the box, So that's what we're going to do. Initially, I was thinking to really have a lot of hardscape coming out of the water, also to really build up the substrate and have a lot of immersed plants. But because of how the light is situated, like there's actually not that much space, So we want to make sure that all the plants are going to get enough light as well. So I'm just going to go immersed a little bit, I guess. So if you guys have seen my videos, then you will know that the majority of my layouts are not like super complicated. Like I just did a competition tank, but most of my aquascapes are relatively simple. It's kind of that's my style. Like I love to keep it really, really simple. Just add a bunch of plants. I'm gonna do the same thing today. Relatively simple hardscape. Add a lot of plants. And when I start building an hardscape, I don't really follow the rules of like the rule of thirds or the golden ratio. I always just like to think about the position of the tank itself, and also the shape of the layout. So for example, I guess most people have the aquarium in their living room, I'm guessing. So I think it's always a good idea to start like from where are you viewing the aquarium? Are you going to view the aquarium, like is this your couch? You're going to view it from head on, or is your couch over here? You're looking a little bit more from the side. I think this aquarium is going to be located over there against the wall, so it'll actually be visible from all three sides. But let's say it was tilted 90 degrees and it was against the wall over here, then it wouldn't make sense to have an open area over here. You would either go for like a triangular composition. So it's just always something to keep in mind. So hardscape, we're going to go for black lava and redmore wood or spider wood. It's kind of like two of my favorite materials. And choosing hardscape is always, I think it's very important. Because we're working with natural materials, right? So rocks can affect the water parameters. The spider wood will always grow a bit of a biofilm on there. And that's just something to keep in the back of your head. Like, so usually, for me, I like what's called serious stone. Do we have a layout with serious stone here? I don't think so. We used to have one. Yeah, so serious stone, it will always raise the KH and the pH. And I just noticed myself that whenever I'm using serious stone in the layout, I always have a little bit more algae issues, you know. So I use it, but I like to use something that just doesn't affect the water parameters as much. Same goes for the redmore wood. I like to use it, but I always keep in mind, like, okay, it's going to grow a biofilm. Plants are not a huge fan of the biofilm, and they have a tendency to melt if they come in contact with the biofilm. So it's just something to keep in mind. So for this one, we're going to go for an island style composition. So I'm going to keep an open space over here, open space on the side as well, so you can kind of view it from all three sides. So I was here on Friday. I kind of just had a little play around with the hardscape. Just, okay, like what am I going to do on Sunday? For me, it's quite difficult to just, like I'm creative, but I'm not that creative that I can just whip something up, you know? So I had these three pieces of wood. I think you can kind of already go, like see where I'm going with this. Right, so this piece can kind of already stand on its own. I don't need to do anything. This one is a little bit floppy, so I just want to support it with some lava rocks. Look, yep.
Are you going to glue the wood to the glass, to the stones?
I think I'm gonna secure the wood to the bottom glass panel. Yeah, because yeah, they're dry. They're definitely gonna want to float up. I could, of course, glue them to lava rocks, but I mean, lava rocks is still very light as well. So even just gluing to the lava rocks, there's still a chance that it's gonna float up. So I basically want to create a bit of a half circle with the lava rocks, so we can fill the back here with an aquasoil or like plant substrate, and in the front I want to have cosmetic sand. I think, especially because it's a shallow tank, I think it's 30 centimeters high, I want to say. 35? Yeah.
Not sorry,
30. Yeah. So if you would have aquasoil, it will go to here. Then you have a carpeting plant, it goes to here, and then there's very little space for. So we're going to go for a nice thin layer of cosmetic sand. Right, so liquid super glue, cotton pads, and then we have these fine tips. Like because it's liquid, like as soon as you tip it over, it can already start running out, you know. Pinch it. Okay. Next up, we're gonna attach this one to that piece of wood. So I'm just gonna make one solid formation. Yeah, be careful. Don't breathe. Just. Ivo was suggesting me to also use spray foam. Does anyone use spray foam to wear any? No?
I see in the YouTube,
Yeah.
but I never use and I don't know if
Yeah. Ivo is a huge fan, but yeah, I've never used it myself as well. It's a workshop. I don't want to experiment with like new techniques, you know.
the first time I see is in the YouTube. I see you
Yeah.
and the green aqua.
Yeah, they use it. Yeah.
Yes.
I think you can let go, right? Shouldn't move anymore. Perfect. Yay. I think you can sit down.
Okay.
I might need some help later, but for now I'm okay. So whenever I'm placing a hardscape in the tank, I always try to kind of tilt a little bit forward, never just straight up. Either tilt a little bit to the side or a little bit to the front. See, this one is going a bit tilting that way. It also creates a nice shadow, and having shadows in the layout is always a good thing. It just makes it more natural. We do want to keep in mind that we have to do maintenance, so this piece is now very close to the glass. Probably Ivo is going to hate me if I keep it like that, so we'll bring a little bit more inwards. How does that look? Yeah? Good? No, I'm good. Perfect.
MJ,
Yep.
at this stage, do you think about the planting? What plants are going where?
At this stage, not yet. Yeah. Good question. Normally, I mean, when I'm making a video, it's different than like a real life situation, of course. When I'm making a video, like it's all planned out. I've already ordered the plants before I start making the layout. So in that case, maybe yes. If I was just doing it for not for a video, if I just suggest you guys to do it, I would always recommend start with a hardscape and then just take a day off or whatever and just sit down in front of the tank and then make the plant list. Actually, that's
Based on the art.
based on the hardscape indeed, yeah. That's something I love to do actually. Like, I love plants. I'm a bit of a plant nerd, so I can just once the hardscape is finished, I can just like spend hours just making the perfect plant list. You know, like I'll write down foreground, midground, background, epiphytes, and just select what I want to use. Like, okay, this would look good there. This would look good there. That's kind of what I like to do.
Regarding the epiphyte plant, because of the wood will release the biofilm, which often melts the plants attached to it.
Yeah.
Do you have like a preference to just keep the tank running and once the biofilm is gone, you attach the epiphytes, or you just do it and bleed and brush? How do you process?
Especially with this type of wood, if I would have the time and the patience, I would do a dark start. Everybody knows the dark start method? Anybody doesn't know? Everybody knows? Cool, nice. Yeah, like we were talking yesterday about plants, or was the day before yesterday? You wanted to use the in vitro bush of Landera.
Yeah, the needle.
I said, Evo, it's probably not a good idea because if we would attach them from day one, the wood starts creating this biofilm, the bush of Landera will just melt. So if you have the time, do the dark start method and then plant 3 weeks later, especially with this type of wood.
You always do dark starts at home?
I never do it. I made a video about it and I still stand by the method. I think it's a great method, but for me it just doesn't make sense. Well, it's just too time consuming, you know? Like when I'm making a YouTube video, I will start on day one and the video will not be published until a month or 2 months later because I like to wait for the tank to grow in, for the plants to grow. So like 1 or 2 months planning is already quite a lot. If I would have to do a dark start as well, you're adding another month. So then I need to plan way in advance and it just makes life even more difficult. Okay.
That branch below, on the right, is not going to disappear.
This one? I think probably a little bit. This part over here. I want to create a lava barrier kind of around like this, no? So it will still stay visible. Yeah, so black lava rock. I chose this because it doesn't affect the water parameters. Also because it's very porous, so it's great for beneficial bacteria. When I'm making a layout, I also like to create contrast as well. So the dark color of the black lava with the light cosmetic sand that we're going to use. Also going to use these smaller blocks. Anyone ever used this before? It's good stuff. Yeah, so these smaller chunks, they're really good for just adding a bit more detail, but also just to make it look more natural, you know? Like right now, this kind of looks like a very man-made barrier. So just by adding some of these rocks, also by adding them behind, you can also close the gaps. I don't know if anybody's seen that video, but I once did an arch in a 60 centimeter tank, and I think I used 3 of these to yeah, that was cool. The only thing is that some of these have like a very different texture. So like if you hold this one, see it has a very rough texture. And this one is very different, see?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you can just pass them around if you want. I like the ones with the finer texture.
I have a question.
Mhm.
You said that usually you look at the Hardscape and then plants and then the fishes.
Yeah.
Have you tried to think about where the fishes live and try to replicate it and put the fish inside of the tank?
Yeah, for sure. So whenever I'm coming up with like if I have an idea for a new video, it can go 2 ways. Like I can get an idea from a layout that a layout that I saw somewhere. I'm gonna try to recreate it, or if I go to a nice fish store and I see like, hey, this is an interesting fish. Like I want to build a layout for that.
Okay.
Also, like before I started aquascaping, I was a fish keeper, and I was actually really almost like into biotope kind of layouts as well. And that's still something that I love today as well. So sometimes I do try to make a biotope or like combine biotope scaping and aquascaping as well. Actually, just next week's video is going to be a blackwater shallow for kind of like South American style. So it's fun to do that.
Andre,
Yeah.
you usually use those small pieces, like on pet buckets,
Mhm.
or you just break the big ones?
If this is available, I'll definitely use it because I mean, if you break it, there's no going back, right? So if I can get my hands on these smaller stuff, then definitely. But it also depends on the type of rock, you know. Like I think lava rock, to break it manually is a little bit more difficult. I don't know, but like dragonstone, yeah, definitely I'll smash it if I need smaller pieces. Also, when you're adding in rocks to your layout, try not to overthink it. Like as soon as you start really thinking about, I'm gonna place it here and there, quite often it just starts to look man-made. You know, like you can see that somebody put the rock there. If you just kind of like loosely spread them out like that, not think about it too much. Of course, with big rocks, it's a different thing. Like if you have a really nice big rock, you want to make sure you show off the best side. But sometimes just not thinking and just placing them in actually gives a really nice result. Okay, I think we're almost done gluing. Like I said, I still have a few small gaps in the barrier, so I'm going to take a little bit of this filter wool and just try to wedge that in there as well, just to make sure we have a really good barrier and we're not going to be seeing aqua soil on sand. Yeah, perfect. So obviously this stuff is white, so right now you can't see it, but it's easily, you can cover it up with plants or with some moss. I'm definitely going to use some moss in this layout as well, so we'll make sure it's not visible anymore.
Are you going to attach some sort of moss onto the rocks or just the
Yeah, so a little peek into the future, I'm going to wrap the wood with moss. And yeah, I'm also going to do a little bit on the rocks, but I don't want to like these patches of moss. I want it like, you know, when you walk through the forest and you see these rocks and there's like a light coating of moss. That kind of effect I want to recreate. So maybe in the beginning I'll add like just pieces of moss, and then hopefully over time it will start to grow out, and then you can just remove the excess, you know, if that makes sense.
You guys like to use moss in your things, or you guys don't like so much the maintenance about it? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the issue. Usually the maintenance guy here is gonna love your thing.
I mean, there were no terms and conditions for the layout. So. Now, when it comes to moss, I would always recommend not to trim it. Like, don't use scissors, but just like manually pull it out with your fingers. I'm going to use Java moss. Yeah. So I think Java moss is actually one of the. Maybe it's not the prettiest moss. Like I think weeping moss looks a lot better, but weeping moss doesn't have the tendency to attach very well to Hardscape. Like it always just kind of lays there flat on top of it. But Java moss really has it doesn't grow roots, but it will attach itself to Hardscape, you know. So then the method of just like moving it's a lot easier. Okay, so I'm using this ADA moss cotton. Have you ever used it before?
No, I use
Normal thread.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same with normal thread, but this stuff actually slowly dissolves. So
Okay.
if you use it underwater, Like you can use it to wrap moss, but then after 3 weeks,
Yes.
it's gone.
It's gone.
But
yes.
then by the time the moss should be fully attached. Right, so while Anna is wrapping the moss, I'm gonna add in the aqua soil. So today we're using aqua soil from Aqualantis. Where's Andre? Yeah, so I'm just using a little cup to pour it in the back. With the bag it's a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm not gonna go for a very thick layer. Basically just until here.
Usually use substrate or some capsules in the bottom, or
I was getting to that. I have them here. Yeah. So my approach to yep. Sorry. Here you go. I like to have a lot of nutrients in the substrate and very little nutrients in the water column. So I like to dose very lean. So whenever I'm doing a new setup, I like to add aqua soil, but also indeed root taps, just to make sure the plants that are planted in the substrate, they just get a huge boost, you know. So I'm also sponsored by Seachem, and Seachem has flourish taps. I really like these because they're black, so you don't see them in the aqua soil. They kind of just mix. If you think of like root capsules, they're always in those like plastic like pills, you know, and they always float up to the surface, or they have like yellow like small balls, and you see them as well. So I like these. They just blend in and they don't float up. So I'm not going to use them now because I mean I don't know the nutrient content in this aqua soil. So for now,
We take care of the maintenance.
yeah, I'm just going to pass them around. Just have a look. And yeah, like crushed lava rock, I use it sometimes, not always. I mean, I would say if you're setting up an aquascape for the long term, like for a year plus, I would always recommend to definitely do it, just to make sure the bacteria, like they get enough oxygen. You know, like aquasol over time will kind of compact, it will crumble. So if you have a layer of crushed lava rock, it will just improve the oxygenation. But the only thing is, like if you're recycling your substrate, it always starts mixing, you know. So like for me, like usually my layouts, they don't last 1 year plus. Like after 6 months, I will, you know, make a new video, rescape it. So I don't really feel the need to do that. Yeah, so because this is my work, right? I do have like one maintenance day, which is usually just a Saturday, but I can also just do a little bit of maintenance on a Monday evening or like a Wednesday afternoon, just whenever if I'm editing and I'm sick of editing or like I need to do something else, just do a water change or do like a light trimming session. It's nice to just do it whatever you want. But it definitely takes quite a lot of time. These days I do try to set up things in a little bit more of a low maintenance way, like so the new 120, you know, there's no carpet, it's just sand, a lot of slow growing plants. It's been a while since I've done a Cuba or a Monte Carlo carpet because it's fun, but okay, aquasol is in, Hardscape is pretty much done. Anna's doing a fantastic job. I'm gonna pour a little bit more soil in these gaps over here. Where's that small cup? By the way, the wrapping of the moss, if you have the chance, I would always do it before you start gluing the hardscape. The only thing is, it's hard to, unless the hardscape is like in the final position, you don't know exactly where the moss should be, you know? Like I've had it a few times where I've wrapped the moss first and then put the hardscape in place, and the moss was kind of in the wrong position, like it was on the underneath part, for example. Yeah. So it's a little bit more tricky this way because you're maneuvering in between all the branches, but yeah. Okay, hardscape done, substrate is in. She's almost done wrapping. I think we can start planting soon, actually. Yeah, so I like to plant first and do the cosmetic sand last, just because like when you're planting and you take out the pin set, there's always some aquasol attached to the pin set, so we want to make sure we keep this clean before we like until we're done planting. Do we have a volunteer who wants to help me with planting? Yeah, cool. Let's do it. Just take the anubias and just, I'll leave it up to you. Just find a nice gap in between the rocks and the wood, yeah? Again, I'll try to avoid using glue. If you find a nice spot where you think it will look good.
Like in the gaps.
In the gaps, yeah. So it should work without glue.
Okay.
Okay, so here we have the Juncus repens. Like I said, it came from in vitro, so it's a little bit. It doesn't look very nice right now, but. Actually, this is a plant that Felipe Oliveira used to like to use a lot. Like the tank over there was made by Felipe Oliveira, and he always had this thing of using rotalas mixed with Juncus. It gives a very natural appearance. So while we're planting, maybe it's a good idea to kind of talk a little bit about what happens after this, because making a layout is the easy part. I think the difficult part is making sure it develops well and we don't get too much algae and the plants grow well. So I'll just kind of talk about how I go about things at home. Yeah, so the aquasol that I'm using at home doesn't require a lot of water changes, so I'll just fill up. First thing I do when I fill up is I use reverse osmosis water, and after that I always mineralize with the equilibrium. So I'll pass this around. This is just like a remineralizer salt, which boosts the GH and the KH. Anyone else use reverse osmosis water? Yeah?
Only the salt.
Yeah.
Only the salt.
Yeah, exactly. Do you what kind of remineralizer do you use?
Salty shrimp.
Salty shrimp. Yeah, I've used that one as well. Yeah, so reverse osmosis water, of course, is pure H2O. You can't grow plants in there. You can't it's not really healthy for fish either. We still need some minerals, so that's why I use the equilibrium. Yeah, after first fill, I don't really use a lot of fertilizer in the first couple of weeks, just because the nutrients in the aquasol, I also add root tabs, so there's plenty enough nutrients for the first couple of weeks.
Do you like this one over here?
Yeah, I think it looks great.
What do you think in the first weeks?
Yeah.
Of replanting, using the Flourish Advance?
Flourish Advance. Yeah, I think it's a tough thing to talk about because it's hard to measure results, you know. So he's talking about Flourish Advance, which I actually have over here as well.
The roots.
Yeah. So Flourish Advance is they call it a phytohormone, and the way I see it, it just kind of helps the plants to get established faster. So we're kind of putting the plants under some stress at the moment. You know, like we're taking them out of the environment, planting them in a new environment. Most of them have been grown in a greenhouse, immersed. We're now going to submerge them, so they need to adapt. So the Flourish Advance, it kind of just helps them to transition faster. Yeah, but it's a hard thing to measure. So if it, yeah, do you want to explain your method about Flourish Advance? Ivo taught me something day before yesterday, which I think is actually very interesting.
Basically, you can use this product in many approaches. The one that I've tried here, and I had the opportunity when the CCAM, when Nicole Stagel from CCAM came here, I think 3 weeks ago, I asked her what I was doing, some science to make it up. Because, especially on a Dutch tank, when we do like reverse trimmings, where we cut the top parts, then we take out the bottom parts, and before planting, I always dip the cutted tips, dip them on CCAM Advance for like a couple of seconds or even 1 minute before I trim them, before I put them on the soil. And later on, if you look on the side of that tank, you will see that the roots just go very fast. The plants start growing upwards more faster. And I tried this, made sense, but I did not knew if the science would back it up. But she said they also do it at Sikkim, even with like regular plants. They use this just to secretize the tissue and to make the roots grow faster. But everybody probably only knows this to use it when it's a new tank and you want to make the plants to transitate to the submerged state faster. That's the main focus. But keep in mind, every trimmed plant that you guys trim, if you can do it, just dip it a little bit and then put it on the tank. And you can also use this with a syringe and inject on the soil to put the phytohormones where the roots will be in the future. So I've tried it.
I did have the same experience.
Same experience. See, it's very cool.
After 1 week, the roots start.
Yeah,
seeing.
and before like 3 or 4 weeks before the roots. So it works very well, man. Queres usar? You want to use it here?
No,
Sai em português.
takes too much time. See, that's another reason why I love these events. Like that was something that I never heard before, and we can all learn from each other, you know. Like I said, I don't use a lot of fertilizers in the first few weeks. You can, of course, especially if you're doing a lot of water changes, you can start fertilizing from day one if you prefer. The fertilizer that I use these days is just Flourish. So pass these around as well. Flourish is basically the all-in-one from Sikkim, but it doesn't really have a lot of nitrates and phosphates. So it's kind of like a lean fertilizer in a way, which for me is perfect because, like I said, I'm traveling a lot. I don't need my plants to grow fast. I rather have them grow a little bit slower. So I'd rather not dose a lot of nitrates and phosphates and slow things down a little bit. Also, I like to just keep it simple. You know, if I can just use one fertilizer bottle instead of 3, 4, 5, 6. For me, it's also easier to convey to the YouTube audience because a lot of them are beginners. So I don't want to scare them away. You know, like, hey, if you want to start fertilizing your plants, you need to buy 3 different products. No, you can just buy one. Looks good, man.
Thank you.
That's good. You can add a few more boosts. We're gonna have a little break. People want to smoke a cigarette, stretch your legs.
Want to eat something?
Yeah. Oh, we have pastries.
Just tell me and I go on the espresso machine. Take coffees out.
Yep.
Coffee, let's go.
Let's do it. Adding sand is always one of those satisfying moments.
Nossa, eu fome agora, sabes?
MJ,
Yeah.
will you not try to hide those roots from the microsorghum? Try to put it on behind?
This one over here?
Yeah. Or is it on purpose?
No, I mean there was a nice gap over there, so I just wedged it in there. Eventually, like it will not be. I mean, it's visible right now, but once all the other plants start growing, it's fine. Maybe if I was at home, I might put a little bit more effort into that, but trying to keep this workshop not too long, you know.
Basicamente esta luz é da Aquatlantis e como a Twin Star também permite controlar as cores. Vai ser a primeira vez que eu vou testar isto aqui na loja, por isso vamos ver como é que corre. Supostamente a luz é muito boa e para este tipo de plantas e para este tipo de layout que permite subir, acho que vai ser top. Não sei se vocês já conhecem, mas pronto, tem aplicação, permite controlar os cenários individualmente. Vocês vão testar. É isso.
Yeah, light is an interesting topic. So for my tanks at home, I pretty much just use an 8-hour photo period. So in my studio, if you come in at 11:45 or 1:45, it's dark. If you come in at 1, it's like all the lights turn on at once, you know. 8 hours, so from 1 p.m. until 9 p.m. For me, 8 hours always works well. It's not too long. If I have the option to to start with 6 hours. Like you can go both ways. You know, you can start with 6 hours and slowly build up until 8, or you can start with 50% intensity and like slowly build that up. Like I will rarely start a new tank with 8 hours on full power. I always try to just gradually increase it. So I don't know if you guys saw the latest video about the 120 centimeter aquarium. It's kind of the same thing. Like we have this lava barrier with the cosmetic sand. I think it could be cool just to add a few little details. I don't know. Just to extend it a little bit. Otherwise, there's so much. It's like a beach, you know. It's not really natural. Could also add some gravel. I don't know. Okay, so we have a few more plants. I think this is going to look really cool. I mean, maybe not from the very start, but once it starts to look, starts to grow and starts to look natural. It's pretty cool. So the idea is that the Juncus repens will grow until here, maybe even out of the water. We have a little bit of bushes of the Pinnatifida, and then we have just a nice graduation towards the foreground. The moss will start to spread out on the lava rocks. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, so fill up the tank with reverse osmosis water at the equilibrium until, I mean, I just add minerals until I reach TDS 120. That's my way of measuring things. I don't measure the pH, GH, KH because too much. TDS is just because it's easy, you know? Yeah, exactly. Then because I don't know this soil, I will probably just do a bit more frequent water changes, 2-3 times per week maybe, until the tank is 1 month old. And I mean, basically that's it. I will not. I mean, if it was my tank, I don't know about Evo. Probably Evo is going to use different fertilizer as well. But if this was my tank, I would only start dosing after the first month. Flourish, maybe also some flourish potassium, because in my opinion, potassium is one of those nutrients that you can just, like plants can't get enough of it. And then just a little bit of trimming. I think it's going to be a relatively low maintenance aquarium. I mean, we don't really have. I mean, the Juncus is considered a stem plant, but we don't really have any like fast-growing stem plants that need to be trimmed, like the Rotalas or the Dutch style tank. So I think that's it. Relatively simple. Yeah. The light as well. Start with 6 or start with 6 hours or lower intensity and just slowly build it up. Yeah, I think that's it. I think. Yeah. So I probably just stick with flourish. It depends a little bit on the stocking. Like if we have a lot of fish, they produce waste. The waste is also nutrients. So I always keep that in consideration as well with fertilizers. That's how I like to run my tanks, with very little nitrates and phosphate, because that's coming from the fish waste. But guys, I think that's it. I don't have anything else to share with you guys. So thank you for your attention, and yeah, let's keep aquascaping.